Hello, and welcome to the Financial Armor Show. My name is Brad Cooper, the host and CEO of Cooper Financial Investments. And as always, I want to welcome my co-host, Tony Shore. How you doing today, Tony?
I am great, Brad. Great to be here with you. I'm excited about our show today. We were having a great chat. I
Yes.
know that you've been really busy lately. It seems this is a busy time of year. People are thinking about finances, about taxes, and there are a lot of changes going on out there. So I'm anxious to get into it. I've had a great week. How about you?
It's been great, Tony. Been busy and very thankful for that. There has been a lot of changes, but probably the biggest change I want to talk about today is it's someone's birthday. Someone's
Uh-oh.
getting older. For all of our listeners, help
Hey.
me wish Tony Shore a happy birthday. He is turning 25 again for several times over and over.
Yeah, multiple times, multiple times. Well, I'm in my late 50s. I'm 59. People say I look I seem much younger to them, and I always say, Brad, it's my immaturity. It throws people off.
and, and the camera view, if you're watching this on YouTube,
Yeah.
we both look at least 25 years younger. Uh,
I always tell people the camera adds 10 years and 100 pounds. So
oh,
that's my
y-
excuse.
yes, mine too, as well. We really look good off camera then, right?
Yeah, we look great in person. Yeah, that's the thing. No, you always look good, Brad. Well, Brad, let's dive right in. You've got a
Yes.
great topic for us today.
Yeah, just hot off the press, the Social Security Fairness Act 101, which basically was signed into law, Tony, January of 2025. There's many different components, as you know. This just was just released here last month,
Yeah.
so I really want to dig into some of the components, some of the parts that really are favorable for federal employees
Yeah.
that have been taking a reduction in their Social Security benefits the last, who knows, 20, 30 years.
Well, yeah, and this is a huge topic right now, because federal employees are going through a lot right now, and this change is one of the positive things. If you're a federal employee or a public sector worker, like teachers and some, things like that, you're going
Right.
to get more of your Social Security. Before it was greatly reduced, right?
That's right. And a lot of federal employees, especially, are aware of this, but some are not. Especially when they get ready to retire, they realized if they took their pension, when they filed for Social Security, there was a reduction. And what this new law does, it repeals the GPO and the WEP. So, what's those terms stand for? The GPO is the government pension offset, and the WEP is the Windfall Elimination Provision, which caused a lot of federal employees, government employees. The reason why these were in effect was to reduce their Social Security benefits, which is not fair, in my opinion. And this
Right.
has all been overturned, which is going to be a very positive for, several thousands, if not millions of people in the United States.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, it's called the Windfall Elimination Provision.
Right.
And I love our government. They basically, the Fairness Act eliminated the elimination provision, right?
Right.
They've eliminated the elimination. I love that. And it is good for federal employees, public sector employees like teachers and, police and fire. But what they did is if you're getting a pension,
Right.
they thought, "Oh, you're getting a pension. You don't need Social Security." But a lot of them had been paying in to Social Security, and they should get a check based on the amount they paid in, just like everyone else. Because
Absolutely.
teachers work during the summers a lot of times. Some people worked 20 years in the private sector paying into Social Security, and then they worked their last 10 for government, but and then that eliminated their Social Security, so it greatly reduced the amount. So they that really wasn't fair, and so the Fairness Act sets that straight.
Absolutely. And, When you have the conversation with Social Security, it's interesting the conversations we have and about being fair. Whose
Right.
money have we paid into this system? It's been ours. But for the listeners out there, let me tell you who's going to be impacted by this. Number one, federal workers under the old system, CSRS. Also, state and local government workers, teachers in many states. Where I'm from originally, Missouri, this is going to be a big benefit for a lot of the retired teacher friends that I have. And also, people with overseas pensions will benefit from this. So, if you fall in those categories, you want to make sure that you're consulting with the Social Security office and also with your financial planner who should be up to speed on this topic. If they're not, I would be concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you've got to make sure you're aware of this and make it part of your financial planning and retirement income planning. And I know that's what you help people with, Brad, people in our community, all your clients, people you meet with, is planning for income in retirement. I think that's huge. And this is going to this is a game changer for federal employees, isn't it?
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
you know, But do all former public employees or overseas workers automatically qualify? The short answer is no. Only people who receive a pension based on work not covered by Social Security may receive this increase under the new law that went into effect. But again, if you're uncertain or if you want to make sure that, you know, this could benefit you, consult Social Security office or consult your financial planner. And what I love about our team, Tony, is we do have a team of Social Security people that know the laws inside and out. And they're the ones that we rely on because when it comes to Social Security, especially with all the different laws and the pages of laws, you're in the tens of thousands of pages. Who can keep track with that? And a lot of times, guess who the average person goes to for Social Security advice? That would be their neighbor in most cases.
Yeah, that would be their neighbor. Sorry, I was on mute there. But yes, that would be their neighbor or a friend at work or their brother-in-law. Hey, what did you do for Social Security? Yeah, and that's not good. Or even if they go to the Social Security Administration themselves, they can't give advice on when to file.
That's right, and that's where most people do seek advice.
Right.
And you're right, they can't. So, what provisions does the Social Security Fairness Act change? You know, Number one, the WEP reduces the Social Security benefit from the former employee and people receiving overseas pensions. And then also the GPO reduced or even eliminated the Social Security benefit of a former public employee. So the offset, which could be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, that
Mhm.
could be a positive in your favor on a monthly basis if you do your research, get the right information you need, and take advantage of this because it seems like when something does change, we have done a great job as far as giving and providing the public this information. But it seems like unless you're doing your own research or you're talking to the right person, you may not be aware of this.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to work with a financial advisor who's a fiduciary who's going to look out for your best interests, and you have the software to run, and you take into consideration each person's personal situation,
Right.
where they're at, are they married, where's their spouse at, and then you input it and can run a Social Security maximization report and talk to them about, hey, where's your sweet spot? When's the best time for you to file? And based on your goals and your needs, and we'll look at what the report says, we'll look at what you're looking to do, and that's how you figure out the right time. So they're not leaving money on the table, yet they're able to meet their goals and needs, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is a discussion, Tony, that we're having almost on a daily basis with new people coming to our office, our existing clients, and unfortunately, it's not black and white as far as when you should file. And I get this question asked very often. Well, Brad, you know, I'm 62 years old. I know I can file for Social Security. The way I look at it, Brad, is who knows what the future of the government is? What's the future of Social Security? I think, we're leaning on taking our Social Security at 62. And
Mhm.
in some cases, Tony, that does make sense to file and take that reduction from your full retirement benefit, which today with a lot of folks, it ranges at between 66 and 67 years old, your full retirement age. But here's the number one thing that most people don't realize. If you file and start receiving benefits, Social Security benefits at age 62, 63, even 64, all the way up to full retirement age, and you're still working, or you're maybe going to be doing some tax planning, which we talk a lot about with our clients, and doing Roth conversions. Basically, if that happens, now guess what that does to your Social Security?
What's that? Reduces it.
Reduces it, number one, but secondly, basically you're going to be penalized, or you're forfeiting $1 for every $2 that you make
Yeah.
up until full retirement age. And
Wow.
that's a discussion I've had at least a half a dozen times, Tony, in the last few weeks about, yes, number one, you do have on average a 25% reduction from waiting till full retirement age if you take it early. But secondly, you're going to be penalized by the IRS and give up almost 50 cents on every dollar if you're
Yeah.
making taxable income.
Yeah. Yeah, and my neighbor, he filed at 62
Yes,
because he thought, "I'm gonna get more checks that way." He
right.
didn't look into it, and he worked until he was full-time till he was 70, didn't retire until he
You're
was 70.
kidding.
So, he so he locked in the lowest possible amount that he could lock in, and then he gets cost of living adjustments on that lower amount, and he's not getting that check that he's locked in anyway each month. They're postponing it until he does file or till he does hit his full retirement age and stop working. And so yeah, it's he was earning too much, so they withheld the money. So it didn't help him anyway at that point, and he's still working full time. He was making good money, so he was making well over the
Wow.
minimum that you can make and still collect Social Security.
So not only was he taking a reduction of 25% from full retirement age, secondly, he was penalized on for every $2 he collected a dollar. Thirdly, because he was still working, and depending if you file single or joint, let's say he files jointly and
Yep.
they're making over $50,000 combined in income,
Yep, they were.
85% of that Social Security benefit is taxed.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Unbelievable.
was his situation. And, yeah, he did that, and, when I started to tell him, "Hey," and he goes, he got really upset because he's like, I know. I've since learned. I know what the mistake I made." He figured it
Right.
out a year later, he's like,
Late.
"Oh my goodness, yeah." Somebody explained to him, and that's why you work with a financial professional. He should have been working with you, and,
Right.
I said to him, "I'm not gonna name names, Brad Cooper, but I know a guy, right? I know a guy that could help you." So,
And, we see this so often. And that's why, when we're talking in public, speaking engagements or talking one on one at our office with people, it's so important, Tony, to work with an educational, holistic financial planner. And what does that entail? Someone who is going to talk to you more about every piece of the financial puzzle other than just maybe investments and stop there. Shame on our industry, Tony,
right.
for the majority of us who talk investments, talk about the greatest portfolios in the history of the market and how much money you can make and stop there. When Social Security, taxes, long term care, estate planning, and the list goes on are equally important. And
In fact, that's where you can make the most costly mistakes with
yes,
retirement and income planning. That can be very costly. I mean, your two biggest expenses in retirement are going to be taxes and healthcare, especially not even counting long-term care. So if you don't have a plan in place for these things, oh, I made 5% more in the market last year. Well, that's great, and that's good
right.
that you made more. But is it enough to cover is it going to make up for the hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses that you've made mistakes? So that's what you want to avoid are those mistakes. You want to make sure
Right.
you're planning for your situation, not your buddies, not your neighbors, right?
You got to take care of yourself.
Yep.
And, you know, I've said this before, but people just don't know what they don't know. But, my recommendation is, take your time, be cautious, get that
Mhm.
second opinion, get that third opinion, do your own research, ask those questions. And if you can't get answers in a quickly manner from the person you're talking to regarding all these serious, financial questions you may have, you may want to consider a different financial planner, a different CPA, an attorney. So, but going back to the Social Security Fairness Act, over 3 million people in the United States are going to be impacted. And that's a lot of money if they decide to do their research, if they are informed and they do make those changes,
Yeah.
especially to their monthly income.
Yeah, that's huge. So, right now, before we move on, if somebody does have questions about this, all they have to do is
Yes.
pick up the phone and give you a call, right?
Yes, you can call us toll free at 888-390-5277. Again, that's 888-390-5277. Or you can visit our website, financialarmorshow.com. Again, financialarmorshow.com, and just ask that question, and we'll get an answer back to you in a timely manner and answer those questions that you may have.
All right. Well, and this is such an important topic, Brad, talking about Social Security and federal benefits
Right.
are another issue. And I know you have some clients that are federal employees, and you like to help people like that as well. So I encourage everybody out there, give you a call. But Social Security is huge. I know you're offering a Social Security maximization report that you can run for people.
Right.
So listeners, give them a call. Now, what else do we need to know? What's something else we should know about Social Security before we go today?
You know, going back to the Social Security Maximization Report, what I
Yeah.
love about this report is every time we run one, it's different for every person, every couple that we run this on. And just an example of which is very common. A couple weeks ago, I sat down with this couple and we were going through their financial plan we put together for them and also a Social Security Maximization Report. And in this example, the client was about 7 years older than his wife. So he was 68 and she was 61 years old. And here's what we determined: she was considering filing for Social Security at age 62, and her benefit was a little under $1,000, not a whole lot.
No.
His benefit that he's receiving was close to $4,000 per month. So,
Wow.
as a result of the Social Security Maximization Report, basically, with her filing, and then once she gets up to full retirement age, in her case, it's 67 years old, she goes from a $900 monthly Social Security benefit to almost $1,900 per month because now she can file off her husband, who is older, and receive up to 50% of his benefit.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
great.
And when I went through that, and this is a pretty sharp couple, they were just so surprised. And again, there's so many benefits and so many different filing options when it comes to Social Security planning. You really got to be careful because if you miss, in this case, if they would have missed out on that, that's over $12,000 a year difference over maybe a 30-year period. which is crazy.
Yeah, that's real money, and especially in retirement. That's a great example of, you know, again, you don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know can be costly. Can if you don't
Right.
know something, and that's why you work with a financial advisor. That's where the value is. It's so important to do that, but one that takes a holistic approach, looks at the whole thing, and
Right.
can help you put those pieces together.
Yeah, just another story that just comes to mind, which is so sad. A dear friend back in Missouri many years ago. She's been married 2 times, divorced twice, and I'll never forget. She went to the Social Security office when she turned 62. This has been many years ago.
Yep.
And the benefit they told her, the most you're going to be able to receive in this case was like $700 per month. Not a whole lot, almost
Y
poverty in the
yeah.
area.
Oh, yeah.
And after I found this out and was talking to her, and this was a few years later, I said, "You've been married twice, you've been divorced twice, and you've been married over 10 years to each spouse before you got a divorce." And I said, "Did you talk to the Social Security office about filing off one of your ex husband's Social Security benefits?" She said, "No."
Hmm.
And this is where it gets sad. She goes back after me talking to her and talks to a wrong person at the Social Security office. Again, they say, "No, you have no options."
Hmm.
She is so discouraged and beat down. She never did go back, but what she could have done, because I know the case pretty well. I know her 2 ex-husbands and the amount of money they were making in their, working years. She should be receiving close to $2,500 a month versus
Hmm.
$700.
Yeah.
So that's another area that a lot of people miss, when it comes to filing off ex-spouses.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's sad because, sometimes the people working at the, Social Security Administration, depending on the person, they might just say, "No, you've already filed, there's nothing you can do."
Right.
And they might not themselves have been trained properly or know about the spousal benefits,
Right.
options that are available to people. And I know you've told me this before, that you've run into this, and I've heard this from other people. You got to try different people at the Social Security Administration,
Yes.
or ask to see a supervisor, because tell them, no, these are the rules, this is the way
Right.
it works. I was married for more than 10 years, and then get divorced. I can file off of, you know, their benefits. And there are some other caveats to it and rules
Right.
around it, like, I you can't be remarried, is that right?
That's
Or
correct.
yeah,
Cannot be
yeah,
remarried,
yeah.
which she wasn't.
If you're remarried, then you're not eligible, but
Right.
yeah.
And just to be fair, I just shared a negative story and a light on Social Security,
Right.
but I can share with you many other successful stories
Oh,
where
sure.
there are a lot of great people. It's just, I guess my point I want to make is be an advocate. Ask those questions. Don't give up. If you don't feel right about the answer you're getting, ask for a supervisor and just continue to research and be an advocate for yourself. I have realized that in life personally myself, especially in the healthcare industry. So
Yeah.
you got to be your own advocate and just keep asking, keep fighting, because no one cares more about you than you and your family.
Right. Well, I think that's great, Brad. Now, before we go today, why don't you let our listeners know one more time how they can get a hold of you, and you're offering that to run that Social Security maximization report for people?
Yes, if you would like a free copy of a Social Security maximization report personalized for you and your family, you can reach us 2 different ways. You can go to our website, financialarmorshow.com, and just type in a question, ask us to, reach out to you that you are interested in a free Social Security maximization report, or pick up the phone, call us toll free, 888 390-5277 and ask for that free report, which we will run for you with no obligation, absolutely free. And we'll even explain and go through it with you just to make sure you are informed, you are educated about making the right decision.
Yeah, that's great, Brad. And the only cost is your time.
That's right.
Otherwise, it's completely complimentary. Brad, great offer for our listeners today out there. Again, go to financialarmorshow.com. You can contact Brad and the staff there at Cooper Financial that way, or again, call 888-390-5277. Great show today, Brad. Great
Thank you,
topic.
Tony.
All right. And listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of the Financial Armor Show with our host, Brad Cooper.